What's up, everyone? Welcome to the March 14th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Tonight, we're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings. We have a 9-game NBA slate. Lots of moving parts, a lot of injury news. Also, more late games than usual tonight. 4 games tipping off at 10 p.m. Eastern or later. So be sure to tune into the deeper dive and live before lock, as always, for more up-to-date information regarding ownership projections, player projections, injury news, all of that. But for now, 5 of the top tournament options on tonight's slate. Starting at number 5, Rudy Gobert, $7,700, taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. He is expected to play tonight. He's projected for about 5% ownership with a 7% chance of being in the optimal lineup. There are a lot of very good tournament options at center tonight. In fact, that's going to be most of what we talk about on this video. But Gobert's not getting much ownership, and this is a pretty favorable spot for him. The game's likely to be competitive against Milwaukee. There's only a 1-point spread, and Utah's a team that frequently does have to deal with blowouts because they're better than most teams in the NBA. So you can expect more playing time than normal for Gobert because of the matchup and the close spread, but also going up against a team that has Giannis Antetokounmpo, somebody that is very reliant on scoring around the rim. It wouldn't be surprising either if Gobert plays a couple of extra minutes in a competitive game. Just because they want him out there whenever Giannis is out there. Like if Giannis plays 36 minutes tonight for the Bucks, it's conceivable that Gobert is out there for 36 minutes for Utah as well. He's averaged 1.27 DraftKings points per minute this season. Even if he plays his normal, 32 minutes or, give or take, he still projects pretty well at that price. But I think for a couple of different reasons that he could certainly play a few more minutes than average tonight against Milwaukee. Number 4, Kristaps Porzingis, $7,200 with power forward and center eligibility. Porzingis' playing time is a legitimate concern, as is the matchup tonight against Golden State. The Warriors are a good team defensively. They're getting Draymond Green back for at least half the game, and Washington's a 12-point dog on the road. That being said, Porzingis is likely to play around 26 minutes tonight, and he's been extremely productive in his limited sample since joining Washington. In 72 minutes with the Wizards, Porzingis has averaged 1.43 DraftKings points per minute. He has about a 30% usage rate, around a 15.5% rebounding percentage, an 11.5% assist percentage. And while 72 minutes obviously isn't enough time to draw any real conclusions, it does make sense that Porzingis would just take over basically everything when he's on the floor for Washington. And his rates and production also line up pretty well, pretty closely with what he was doing in Dallas whenever Luka Doncic wasn't on the floor. When he was on the Mavericks, Porzingis averaged 1.36 DraftKings points per minute in the minutes where Doncic wasn't on the floor. He had a usage rate around 29 to 30%, rebounded at a similar rate. Assist percentage was in the low to mid teens. So I do buy into the rates that we're seeing from Porzingis so far in Washington, and I do think he continues to produce at a very high level. The downside is just that you can't, to this point, count on him to play 30-plus minutes. But at $7,200, he certainly can still put up a big score in only 26 minutes or so of action. Number 3, Isaiah Hartenstein, $4,900 center, projected for 5% ownership with a 9% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Hartenstein has averaged 18.6 minutes per game in the games he's played without Serge Ibaka and with Ivica Zubac this year. He's averaged 1.17 DraftKings points per minute overall. The Clippers are very shorthanded tonight against Cleveland. They only have 9 bodies available. There's a possibility that you could get Zubac and Hartenstein alongside each other against the big Cleveland front court. I still don't think that's likely to be the case, however, because they've played 0 minutes alongside each other this year. I don't necessarily think that you see that really change in this game. But even if it doesn't, there's a clear path to success for Hartenstein because he's such a good point per minute fantasy producer. All you really need is Zubac to get in foul trouble or Hartenstein to play well off the bench. We've seen, him steal minutes from Zubac in games where he's playing particularly well also. So not a high probability play, but at only 5% ownership and a $4,900 price tag, there is plenty of upside here. Number 2, Drew Eubanks, $5,600 center, projected for 9% ownership with a 14% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Eubanks, the biggest risk for Eubanks is that he's on an awful Portland team, and they do, while they are missing a lot of players, which is why Eubanks is starting, they do still have enough bodies where if the game gets out of hand, they don't have to play Eubanks down the stretch. But at 5,600, if this game is competitive down the stretch, Eubanks is likely to pay off this salary pretty easily. In 7 starts with Portland so far, he's averaged 0.86 DraftKings points per minute and 26 minutes per game. If he does play only 26 minutes here, it's unlikely that he really puts up a score you want to have. But if this game does somehow go down to the wire, you could certainly get Eubanks, approaching 30 minutes and being a productive option at 5,600 and low ownership. And number one on the other side of this game, Clint Capella, $6,000, projected for 10% ownership with a 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Atlanta will be without both of John Collins and Danilo Gallinari tonight. That's very good for Clint Capella's outlook. We know that his playing time and production have gone up in games without John Collins this year. He's averaged 28.5 minutes per game in those games, 1.18 DraftKings points per minute. But the absence of Gallinari also just lowers the risk of a small Atlanta closing lineup that has Gallinari at center. Obviously they can't go there. They are shorthanded in the front court, and so you expect Capella to play around 30 minutes at least in a very, very favorable spot against the Portland Trailblazers. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on DraftKings as things currently stand: number 5, Rudy Gobert; number 4, Kristaps Porzingis; number 3, Isaiah Hartenstein; number 2, Drew Eubanks; and number 1, Clint Capella.